Hello guys and welcome back to another episode, and it's that time again. Chelsea take on Nottingham Forest tomorrow, so it's time for a match preview. But before we get into it, make sure you smash up the like button, and if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button to support this channel. So today we're going to be looking at Nottingham Forest, what to expect from them just briefly, and then we're going to be looking at Chelsea and how they can win this game and break down Nottingham Forest to come out with another victory. What a time it is to be a Chelsea fan at the moment. Unbeaten in the last 6 games, 1 draw and 5 consecutive wins, scoring 8 goals in the last 2 games, despite a different starting 11 in each game. That is something unbelievable. So the squad depth of this Chelsea squad is incredible. Now, if the starting 11 don't do it, you better believe you've got some talent on the bench that can come out and make a difference. But so have Nottingham Forest. They're actually started this season in really good form. They're sitting 10th in the Premier League with only 1 loss to their name. And yes, they've been at Anfield and won at Anfield. So make no mistake about it, this is going to be an extremely difficult game. Nuno Espirito Santo has brought a really compact side, a really difficult side to beat, a pragmatic defensive style of play at Nottingham Forest. But he's actually making reactive counter-attacks look really exciting. What can you expect from Nottingham Forest? Well, they tend to play in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Expect them to treat Chelsea like they did Liverpool and play a more pragmatic style. So let's take a look. Nottingham Forest are not a possession-based team. In this season, they've only had more possession during the 90 minutes in 1 game, and that was against Bournemouth. The rest of them against Newcastle, Southampton, Liverpool, Brighton, have all had more possession than Nottingham Forest, despite Nottingham Forest coming away with good results. And this image on the screen here tells you everything you need to know. They're a counter-attacking team. They like to defend. They're physical. They don't press much, which we'll get onto very shortly, and they attack at the right times. Now, also you can see the different contrast in their average positioning against Southampton to Liverpool. Against Liverpool, they're far more defensive-minded. They're like 5 or 10 metres back than what they are against Southampton. That's because of the danger the new Liverpool provided. So against Chelsea, I expect a similar sort of average positioning. Now, what Nottingham Forest do brilliantly, they're not a pressing team, so don't expect them to be as aggressive as Brighton. What they do brilliantly is keep their shape. They're unbelievable at keeping their shape. They're extremely compact. They sit tight. And as you can see against Liverpool, their danger man didn't start the game. Callum Hudson-Odoi didn't start. Anthony Elanga didn't start. The reason being they started Anderson and Dominguez is to be more defensive-minded, to keep the shape a lot better. And once they've seen out the hard yards of that game, they use these weapons off the bench to really exploit Liverpool. So I expect something very similar against Chelsea, but I'm going to make this is a guessing game. I think Anthony Elanga will start. I think Callum Hudson-Odoi will start on the bench. And the reason being, I think they see Chelsea as more defensive, not as defensively strong as Liverpool. So I think from the offset, they're going to have one danger man that can really exploit space. Now, just to prove that they're not a possession-based team, look at the average touches this season by every Premier League squad. Nottingham Forest are 3rd from bottom, only behind Ipswich and Everton. That just goes to show that they don't like to keep the ball, but when they've got the ball, they like to be progressive extremely quickly. I expect them to play in a low block. So let's get on to Chelsea. How can they break this down? Well, I've highlighted 4 players that are crucial to Chelsea and 2 players that are crucial to Chelsea in the defensive side of things. So first of all, let's get on to Chelsea's starting 11. I think it's going to be identical to what we're seeing against Brighton. You'll have Malo Gusto, Fofana, Colwell, Cucurella, Caicedo, Fernandes, Noni Madueke, Cole Palmer, Jadon Sancho, Nicholas Jackson. That's the starting 11 I expect because, look, they're doing well. Why would you change what's working? Now, I know there's shouts for Pedro Neto to start, but I think he can be crucial from the bench. His space, his directness can be a valuable asset from the bench. So I expect him to come off in the later stages of the game. But as we all know, Nottingham Forest are going to be extremely difficult to break down. Playing through the lines is going to be difficult because there's not that much space. They're extremely compact. They'll close in and close the space. So how do Chelsea break down Nottingham Forest? Well, there's 4 players I highlight in this offensively, and that's Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer, for obvious reasons, Nicholas Jackson, and Jadon Sancho. Now, let's start with Jadon Sancho. What does he need to do? For me, he needs to peel wide, act as in a touchline winger. And the reason behind this is because that's going to get their right back to move a little bit wider. And that creates more space between the right back and the centre back. But the next point, Nicholas Jackson. He needs to not show for the ball as much and use the channels more. Because the more he's running in behind, the more room their centre-backs will have between them because they'll need to follow him. The more room there'll be between the centre-backs and the full-backs because they'll be moved out of their position. And what does that do? Create space for Cole Palmer. Now, Cole Palmer's best asset, and this is why I love Cole Palmer, he's probably one of the best in the world at this. He doesn't need many touches throughout the 90 minutes. When he does touch the ball, it's always with conviction and in dangerous areas. Cole Palmer's anticipation and preemption of space is absolutely phenomenal. Now, why it's key is because Nicholas Jackson needs to make that space for him. Murillo and Mihajlovic are 2 extremely powerful centre-backs who don't mind being physical. Murillo's extremely quick, but they've already created a beautiful partnership. They complement each other extremely well. And what they do is they sit really tight, close to each other. They don't like going out wide. And this is why Nicholas Jackson's key, because he needs to move in those channels, do those double movements, come and show for the ball, knowing that you're not going to get it. Create that space and then spin in behind. What does that do? It opens up the space in the midfield for Cole Palmer to exploit. That's going to be key. That is going to be key. And that is where Cole Palmer's at his best. He's so good at receiving the ball in dangerous areas, but you need to create that space for him to do so. Because what Nottingham Forest are going to do, like I say, be compact, try and close the space, and try and limit touches to Cole Palmer. So Nicholas Jackson's movement is absolutely key in this. Now, who else is key in the offensive side? Enzo Fernandez, because his vision from deeper areas, because he's going to receive the ball a lot in the deeper areas, because he's going to come in short to receive the ball. Nottingham Forest will give him time on the ball in those areas. They'll not look to press him, because when they press that create space for others, they'll sit back and invite pressure on. They're happy to do that because they're so comfortable in winning their duels. So Enzo Fernandez is going to see a lot of the ball with a lot of space around him. Now, what he needs to do really, really well is move the ball early. As soon as he sees Nicholas Jackson on his bike, needs to play those balls in those channels. If he dwells on that, then the attack's gone. So we need to move the ball quickly into the channels. Nicholas Jackson to receive in the channels, and that will free up space for Cole Palmer to be free in central areas or just a little bit outside the central areas. So the wingers need to be wide to create space. Nicholas Jackson needs to move in the channels. Cole Palmer can then pick up the pieces. Sounds easy. It's not going to be easy, but that's how you break down Nottingham Forest. You need to get them moving out of their positions because they're so good. Nuno works so hard on structure and training. So they've got that implemented in their head of where to be in exactly every point of attack. So your movement is crucial to moving their bodies out of their space. That's going to be key. Now, undoubtedly, Cucurella will invert. That's what we've seen happening. Now, what Nanimeki and Malagusto need to do is create overloads. Create overloads, because as soon as the ball is in dangerous territory and there's overloads, that's where you can get better out of Nottingham Forest. They're not going to leave much space, so you need to create the space. And by overloads, that's exactly what you do, because what they'll need to do in that sense is move an extra body out wide. That creates space in the middle. Now, who's going to be key in the defensive side of things? There's two players. Caicedo, for obvious reasons. He needs to have a similar game to what he did against West Ham, breaking down those counter-attacks, reading the game tremendously well, closing down the gaps so they don't play through the lines. What Nottingham Forest will look to do is exploit that space where Cucurella's left, so they'll look to move the ball out wide, and that's why I think they'll start Anthony Elanga, because they'll use his pace to get him wide. And Chris Wood doesn't take many touches of the ball, but he's very, very dangerous inside the box. So we need to stop the supply to Chris Wood inside that penalty area. Now, secondly, on the defensive side of things, Levi Colwell's going to be crucial because of what I've just said. Nottingham Forest are going to look to exploit that left full-back position. Now, what we need to do is Levi Colwell needs to be on alert, because if the ball is turned over quickly and Cucurella's in the centre position, there's all that space in behind. So Levi Colwell's just going to have to be concentrated throughout the 90 minutes to stop that space and move across and shuffle across. And then Fofana's going to have to shuffle across, etc. You get what I'm going. So that is going to be absolutely crucial in this game. And that is exactly how I expect this game to unfold. I expect Chelsea to have the majority of the possession, but they need to be savvy and clever in the way they break them down. And when Jadon Sancho receives a ball, he needs to use his best asset, and that's enticing the pressure in order to create space. And that's what he's very good at. So the use of Jadon Sancho will be crucial because he's inviting pressure onto him. And Nottingham Forest don't really press well. So when you can get them pressing, that's when the space opens up, and then you can be his quick 1-2s, giving goals, exploiting spaces. You know how he does it. So that's what I fully expect to happen in this game. Now, why Nottingham Forest got a good result at Liverpool is because they stopped them playing early. Liverpool were very lackluster, slow in possession. They didn't move the ball quickly. They didn't create any width. And that was down to Nottingham Forest's brilliance. As bad as Liverpool were, Nottingham Forest were brilliant. And that's exactly how you break down a low block. It's all working in tangents. The team, like I always say, football's built on partnerships. So if you've got a good understanding of your teammate, that just puts you on another level during the 90 minutes. As you can see from the image on the screen, Nuno's excelling Nottingham Forest. He's had more points in less games. They're scoring more goals. They're scoring more goals per 90. Got a better XG per 90. Therefore, they're creating more chances per 90. But this one's key. They've got a better big chance conversion rate, and it's considerably better. So he's getting the better out of his players. And the way he does that is by counter-attacking. He's devastating on the counter-attack. So they're creating more chances and scoring more goals. So Chelsea need to be alert. We need to move the ball quickly in possession, but we need to stay concentrated and keep our shape out of possession. Lastly, Nottingham Forest don't really play through the lines. Their goalkeeper has had the most successful launches in the Premier League this season. That tells you 1,000 words, that they want to hit the forward line early. They just want to move the ball into the final third as early as possible. So that is something that we're going to have to be alert on. But look, enough about me talking. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your predictions for this game. I think it's actually going to be a tight game. Maybe 1 or 2 goals in it. But I want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments below your score prediction. But once again, I want to thank you all for watching this video, supporting this channel. Good luck for tomorrow. Up the Blues. Come on, you Blues. Thank you very much for watching.